Now we get down to the nitty-gritty of what shuffles are all about. I use the term grid work frequently when I'm discussing rhythmic ideas and how to stay in the pocket. In this case, we are going to take each beat and subdivide it into 3 equal parts. Let's listen to our accompanying track. You can hear the accent, which would be those quarter notes. So if we count, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at figure 3 of your standard notation. You see I've used abbreviations, a T for the first syllable trip and an L for the second syllable let. I prefer to count these 1 triplet, 2 triplet, because that way we're always staying with the number on the beat, on the tempo of the tune. Some people count tripolit, and that's another way to do it, but I want to keep things organized where you know that the number is always where the tempo of the piece is, and we'll use these syllables consistently. Well, let's count along with this. Make sure you can count. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, and I encourage you to count in a pretty strict, energetic fashion. Don't go triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4. You're going to play mushy if you count mushy. Practice counting it, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, and then practice going dot, 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 quite forcefully. Then we're going to play it, as we did before, rhythmically on the guitar. Mute your strings, and you can see that we have 3 picking schemes. We could play all downstrokes. And as before, we want to accent the number. So strike all 6 strings on the number, and then come back and just bounce on the bass strings. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. Our other picking scheme would be as follows. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. You're going down on pretty much all the strings, up on a couple, and then a light bounce on the bass. This is very important that you explore all these picking options because they give different sounds. Your third picking scheme is the one that might get you tangled up a little bit. Since we're subdividing each beat into 3 equal parts, the picking is going to turn around. I'll do this very slowly. Your first triplet would be down, down, but then it would be up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And you can hear what happens. That means that on beats 2 and 4, you're going to get a little kick on the treble strings. The strict alternate picking is what's going to prepare you for high-speed triplets, which, when we get into sextuplets and faster tempos, it's pretty much a necessity. Make sure that you practice playing all 3 picking schemes, deadening the strings as we've just done. But let's go back and play along with a jam track. A little slower tempo there. We're way down at 71. Now at this tempo, the picking scheme that sounds and feels quite comfortable is the down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Okay. Let's see what it sounds like with all downstrokes. Different sound, right? Let's use our strict alternate picking, see how that sounds. Again, a different sound. You lose some of that drive because remember, your downstroke has gravity on its side and it's forceful, and you're initiating the stroke from your bass strings. Therefore, the down, up, down, down, up, down, there's weight on each downbeat of the numbers. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, the same way that you count it. All right, what are we going to do if we want to practice soloing? And I'll use this term practice schemes. I've referenced this again in a lot of my different videos. If I said, I want you, and let's say you were my student, and I say, okay, you've been working on your triplets, and I'm giving you this particular lesson. You've got the E minor pentatonic scale all over the neck. Let's just go up here to your pentatonic scale up here. And I'm going to assume that you've got your technique together enough to where you can play these triplets. Now, if you don't, you got to practice just getting some speed, but we'll get you there. But let's say I request that you only play 8th note triplets. That means that whatever you play is 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4. So it has this flowing, driving sound. Now, you don't have to play the whole bar. you could pick any beat and just play 3 notes. For example, I'm just going to be in the E minor pentatonic scale. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. And I'm just holding the note out. Pick 3 other notes. Then you might do an answer. And you do all kind of subtle things like make it staccato. You're still playing da-da-da, even if it's a ghost note. See what I mean? If you wanted to play 2 beats of triplets, it's going to be a longer line. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Are you starting to see that you could play very effectively because you're in the pocket? You're playing right along with what? If you listen to the drum kit, the hi-hat. Or if it's a slow blues or the drummer's playing the ride cymbal, he or she's going to be using that same triplet grid work to keep things propelling along, right? It's very important that you get solid at just triplets. Now, for practice purposes, I said a couple minutes ago, if you don't have your chops together, you might need to work on this. I'll give you a quick preview of how you might approach it. You might take a 3-note group, and that's just a melodic pattern coming right down through the E minor pentatonic scale. And all I'm doing is just playing 3 notes descending. So if you look at your diagram, flat 3, 1, flat 7, that's my motif. Okay, or you could play the same 3 notes over and over again. That ends up giving you a finger roll, and you might run into some technical problems. But you could just extend that 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet. Are you starting to see? It's just a triplet pattern involving 3 different notes. Again, I've talked about this in some of my melodic patterns courses. And that's descending. I could ascend, right? Now, as you practice, make sure you're playing legato. The notes are smooth and connected. And you don't have any glitches. You're dampening all the principles of good playing that, if you've watched my videos, you're always a big proponent of those kind of things. And do you see that if you keep the pattern going, it becomes predictable? The listener hears it, so perhaps just intersperse it with the following. Maybe play 1 little lick that's just a triplet, then another lick that's a couple of triplets or 2 or 3 beats of a triplet. For example. See what I mean? And play right in the pocket. I was bending a little bit just in it. There are concepts of playing ahead and behind the beat where you make it less metronomic, where it sounds less machine-like. But I encourage you to stay right with the clicks at first until you know where you are. Then you can start taking some liberties playing ahead of the beat, behind the beat, and things like that. All right, so that gives you an overview of what the 8th note triplet is. Now, I need to stress this. If you don't understand this lesson totally, I mean without any reservation, you're going to get pretty lost in the upcoming lessons. And this is a cumulative type lesson, a group of lessons, and everything builds, all right? So make sure that you know these 8th note triplets and that when you hear a piece of music, you can identify if it's a triplet grid as opposed to those straight 8s that we talked about back in lesson 2. Well, we talked about straight 8s in lesson 2. In our next lesson, we will talk about swing or shuffle 8th notes.